Today what we're going to do is we're going to use the little tiny ramp jig I made for the table saw, and we're going to mill up some of the, we're going to mill up all of the damn raised panel center section parts. When I get done with that, we're going to make a bunch of this curved molding here, but this is straight. But I have to make some straight molding too. So we're going to bandsaw out a bunch of pieces. I'm going to make 13 pieces that are all curved, that are going to kind of look like this when they're all done, except they're shaped. And we have to make that out of solid stock, because if you shape this stuff right here, the little 1/8" strips would look stripy and weird, and it's not good. All right, so I've attached the little ramp right there. Cool. The first thing we have to do before we do anything else is join all these parts. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to join one edge on all these things. Probably make a couple passes at them because they're not all perfect. These are all probably about 1/4 to 1/2 inch wide. At least I'm hoping so. So I'm going to join them all first right now. I'm put my headphones on, do some rock and roll. I'll join them on here, then we're going to rip them on the table saw. All right, ready? Here we go. Double stick tape works good for that little ramp. Yeah, right on the money, 4 3/4. All right, well there we are. Quick, simple, and easy. If I can do it, you can do it. Look at the stripiness of that thing. It's a good thing we're not seeing that part. You might only see just one of these things. But yeah, there we go. Raised panels. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sand the face really good. I'm going to, oh, there it is. It's already marked up. All right, I don't need to do that. I'm going to sand the face really good on these things, and I'm going to put them aside for a little while. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to make a jig, a marking jig for these pieces here. So I got tons of this stuff to mill up. I'm going to make 13 of them. I need 12. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking about milling this to 1 5/8 because that's what it needs to be. I might actually do that after I cut them up. And the reason for that is squeakers. She always says goodbye slowly. The reason for that is because I want to bandsaw them out. And if they move or anything, I want to be able to flatten them as much as possible and then make them the right width. This needs to be 1 5/8 because it's going to be round like this. It's going to be curved this way. And if I cut them, if I plane it off the size now, I don't have any option of changing it later and making it flatter, because it needs to be flat, not twisted. Because if this is twisted and you try to put a curve that's twisted onto a curve that's not twisted, you're going to have a nightmare. So, yeah, Mr. Kevin logic. So these right here are all the strips I need to make the curve raised panel. We're shaping them this way, but first I have to cut them out. And I have to put them on a couple of jigs. I've got a couple of jigs right here. So here's the outside one. Here's the one that's going to shape the inside. I just made them out of MDF. And what I'm going to do is put little blocks on the little line that's right here. You can see that line. I'm just going to put little blocks on there. And I'm going to double stick tape all of these onto these jigs. And I'm going to shape one from the front, and then I'm going to pull it off and put it on this one and shape the back side, and that'll be it. And when it's all done, it should look something like this. And then I'm going to run through the table saw to cut this little lip off here, and we'll be done. Just that simple. But you can see they're pretty close. So that's what we're going to do. It's a flush trim jig, so this is the face. And this is the back side of it. The back side doesn't get seen, but it still needs to be flush trimmed. All right, so here we go. Let's see, everything's on, that's tight, powered on. And all I do now is I'm just gonna use my finger as a guide, and I'm gonna shove it and guide it with this hand, this one right here. And I'm gonna just hold this as a guide with this one. We'll see how that works. And this is a carbide tip 3/4 inch blade. It's actually a resaw blade. try to go right outside the line here. So before I actually shape this thing, I might disc sand it on the disc sander, just grind it a little closer to the line, just to make it that much easier. All right, I'm gonna put this up here, and I'm gonna cut some more. Finish this up. My battery's about to die. Tomorrow we're going to be flush trimming all this stuff, at least to make it smooth and uniform in thickness, and then we'll start shaping it. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to cut these down to size. I cut these down because these are really long. This is the size I need. This fits on the jig nicely without hanging over, and this is yeah, you can see the difference. One's really long, so I got to cut them down on the chop saw to make sure that they're not hanging over the jig, because that you're just asking for a kickback if that happens. So I got a few more of these to chop up. Hopefully some of these are long enough. I'm not even sure. Actually, you can put it on there. Yeah, see, this one's super short. So some of these, this one I didn't think was going to be usable, but it's good for a test. So we'll test it out to see how the jigs work. So that's a good thing. I made more than I needed. All right, so I'm gonna mark these things up, and then we're gonna chop them on the chop saw. And as soon as I get done, I'll flip it back on. We'll see how all these jigs work. I went and disc sanded these things just a little bit, just to get down to the pencil line, because I didn't want to shape off all that stuff. When you go into grain like this, I don't know if you can see that. So this grain, when you have the cutter going into grain, it tends to blow out right in your face. So when you're feeding this in, the first thing you're hitting is the end grain, and that's kind of dangerous. Hey everybody, I'm back. All right, so I shaped up one, and it came out right at 3/4 of an inch. We had a little small hiccup right here, but that's okay, because the main thing is the back came out pretty damn good, except for these little teeth marks, which you'll never see. Right there, good golly, there it is. So you won't see that because we don't see any of the backs of these drawer fronts. And this little bit here doesn't matter that much because of the way the molding sits. How does it? There we go. Okay, see how the molding is? This part of the molding, this little shoulder right here, gets cut off. And I had a piece of molding somewhere. There it is. Okay, so when I shape it, it's going to have this shoulder. When I cut it on the table saw, it's going to look like this. This is almost 2 inches, and this is 1 3/8. So we're cutting most of that off. It'll also cut off, when I do that, it'll cut these screw holes out. And hopefully everything came out right. I had to hold it within 1/4 of an inch of the bottom, so it wouldn't come through when I shaped it. I had to use little 1 1/4 screws, and I also used double stick tape to hold everything in place. It's kind of a nightmare, but you can see the screws on the bottom. These little guys right here. There's 3 of them holding this whole piece in. I beveled this front edge, because when you go in here like this, I'm going to, yeah, that's kind of a dangerous cut, because it tends to want to blow things out. Poof, explode them at you. This jig, even though everything I measured from the front and everything, 3/4 of an inch, I actually had put double stick tape on here and add these little pieces, my little shims, my paper shims. I added, whatever that is, a little less than 1/16 to it to push it out a little farther, because somehow with the roller bearings and all that stuff, it was spat of 3/4 of an inch. So this, when I put these on there, it made it right at 3/4 of an inch. So, I'm going to shape another one and I'm going to film it. And what I was going to do is I was going to get my face shield and put it on, but we'll live dangerously and hopefully nothing happens. So I'm going to turn my headphones on, turn on the squeakers, and plug your ears because it's going to be loud. And here we go. So when we start, we're going to start on the jig right there and then roll into it. Slowly. This is a long thing. It's going to take a while to get through it. And that's why we make these jigs. We make it so there's room for the roller bearing to start before you hit your piece on both sides going in and out. That's very important. You don't want to hurt yourself. Go. Johnson's flush trimmed. Came out pretty good. You can see where it burns going in. Yeah, so there we got one done. Now we got to flip it over and put it in the other jig. You can see where the little holes are there. Okay, that's a 1/4 inch from the back. And that looks pretty good. There's the back. The front I just sanded a little bit just to get it closer to the line so I'm not hogging so much off on the router. I'm going to set this on here. Try to get it on there as evenly, Stevenly as you possibly can. Use these big old spring clamps here to hold the ends. Oh, good golly. All right. Make sure that you double check. So I just about did it. You want the screw side down. So you're only putting screw holes on one side. One side only. That's all you need. That's all you want. Otherwise, you're going to have a screw hole right in the middle of a raised panel, and it's going to look weird. There it is. It's already been dissanded, but you can see it's sticking out just a little bit. You don't want this sticking out like a 1/4 inch because it'll just not be good. It'll blow out and do all sorts of strange things. The first cut, you can see the grain, it's going that way. So when we're cutting in, we're basically cutting at the end grain. And if you ever cut a piece of end grain with a router, you know what it's like. It's tough. So yeah, until we get to here, this whole thing can come shattering and blow back at you and try to take you out. So be careful. There we go. I missed a little bit right there, but like I said, that doesn't matter because that's all getting cut off. And plus it's getting shaped off too, so. All right. You can see those holes, right? Those are getting cut off. When I run this through the table saw, so I'm going to shape it first, then I'm going to run it through the table saw. We'll figure that out. You know what I could do? I'll just run it through on the bandsaw. We'll run it through on the bandsaw at a certain width, and then I'll join the edge, and hopefully they'll all be the same. Yeah, it'll be close enough. I only got another 12 more to do. Squeakers. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so after I get all that stuff done, I'm going to put this on my router with this huge bit, and we're going to freehand some curved raised panel molding. Kind of like we did the last time, but these are a lot longer. The other ones were only like, you know, yay big. It wasn't that big a deal. These are huge. And I actually might have to make it curved. I might have to take a couple of these guys and put it next to it and just to ride it on top of. And hopefully I've already shown you how I did it once. I don't know. I just keep filming these things and keep working. All right, I gotta go. I gotta get to it. We'll see you soon. Hey everybody, Mr. Kevin here, and welcome back. We're finally done. Did about 6 yesterday, and I did 8 this morning. And we're done. Got all the pieces milled up. They're 3/4 of an inch thick. They're as smooth as they can be on either side. One thing that worked out really well, for me anyway, because I have a disc sander, is I disc sanded the one edge on the other jig. So when I placed it in there, I just can place it down there and not have it spring in there or clamp it down into place and put screws in it. And that's really important when you're doing curved things, is to make sure that you're when it goes on your jig, you're not forcing it onto the jig with clamps and then screwed in place. And then once you undo the screws, it just pops back. It's got to sit on there flat, just like this. Okay, I flush trimmed the inside first, and then this is the second jig, and it goes on there. It needs to sit on there and not bounce around. You don't need to clamp this into place. I mean, I clamped it into place just to hold it there, but I wasn't forcing it to be up against the blocks. It was just sitting right on the blocks. That's what you want. You don't want anything crazy, because what will happen is once you undo the screws, it'll just pop out, and then all these things here will be all different. So you want to get things on your jig as calmly and as easily as possible. You don't want them all different thicknesses. I mean, some of these are going to change anyway, just because the fact that they used to be, 5 inches of... My GoPro is saying something. It is saying it's very hot. All right, well, shut off. Anyway, it reminds me, I also filmed some of the shaping with the GoPro here at 120 frames a second. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I've never done that before. I thought it looked kind of cool with all the little shavings going off the cutter. So I put the camera up there and filmed it. We'll put it up there somewhere over here. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is set up for using this Johnson right here. This big old router bit, raised panel cutter. I'm going to put this on one of my routers. I'm not sure which one yet. Going to put a little balancer strip on there. So this one was for the other one, because it wasn't as aggressive as a curve as this. But for this, I want this to be balanced on there perfectly. I'll probably add another thing so it doesn't do the little tippy thing. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to set up the other jig. I'm going to put this on one of the routers. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all these and shape this shape on it right there. And then once all that's done, we have them all shaped, then we have to cut it down on the table saw to make it this size. I think I'm going to sand it while it's in this configuration here. It's easier to deal with when it's wider. And then I'll cut that off after it's been sanded. This was kind of fun to do. And I just did it on a little router table, and you don't need big expensive tools to do this stuff. If I could do it, you can do it. All right, so I've done a few things here. I've taken one of the raised panels from the vanity. It was definitely long, and I screwed it to the jig. I don't want it to move. Okay. Now what I don't want to do is I don't want this jig to move either. So I'm probably going to wind up, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because the piece, here's the piece. This is the piece we have to shape. It's going to go on there. All right, so I got one clamp down here to act as like a stopper. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is probably just take a hunk of wood, put it here, and put a screw in it. All right, so I got this block of wood, and I'm going to put it down here. Okay. All right, that's good. That's good. Oh, man. Can you see me? I don't know if you can see me or not. People are getting murdered over there. All right, I attached this to my old Bosch. Hopefully it doesn't die in the middle of this. But this is the one I used last time because the holes all lined up for the base. I added some extra pieces here. So this is about 1/8 of an inch tall. I put two strips in here, right here, and one on top of that. So it'll actually sit on here pretty flat. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the thing, and I'm just going to push it like this. And we're just going to go for it. Freehand it. Have to start down here, come up and over the top, cutting like crazy. Good golly. And stopping in here somewhere. And hopefully I stop before I hit my my clamp. That could be a bit of a problem. This is a huge cutter. Please don't try this at home. I'm taking off the whole gizmo. I'm not even sure about that. I'm gonna try one, see what happens. I got a combination right here. Oh, hello down there. What I could do. Who knows? All right, hopefully everything's in there and good. I'm gonna put on my all my stuff here. I'm gonna turn this guy on here. Uh-oh. All right, I got the fan going full bore. I don't know about this. We'll see. If it gets crazy, yeah, it gets crazy. A little fast. How about this? All right, holy cow. That's something else. Dude, that's right at 1/4 of an inch. That was a hell of a cut, boy. Man, it smells like cherries in here. That's 1/4 inch. Whew, man, that thing burned up like nobody's business. Was it loud? Yeah, that thing. Burned a cherry is a notorious burner. Burner, Mary Turner. 1/4 of an inch. It's 1/4 inch. This is a little shy. Most of that is getting cut off, and that's where you go in and out. That's why I made them as long as I did. They're about 1.5 inches too long. So that's pretty good. All right, there's one. Does it fit on there? Even after shaping it, it stays pretty good. Oh man, God. This place is gonna be a disaster area. Gotta figure a way of stopping this. Hold on, because I keep running off the edge and I can't really see where the end is. I'm gonna mark this with a pencil. All right, I'm gonna put a stop on the end, so this will actually butt into it. Good golly. I just got a piece of scrap. I'm just gonna pin it on. It's a little piece I have on there already. And hopefully that'll stop it. Yeah. All right, here we go again. Everything's getting covered. Oh man, it does smell good though. There's my dust cap for my camera. Oh my goodness, here. All right. All right, well, there you go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Craziness abounds everywhere. When you're doing curve stuff, there's a lot of stuff to do and a lot of stuff to think about. So hopefully some of you out there that are thinking about building something curved or would like to, hopefully this helps you out. The next one, we're going to be assembling everything, and it's going to be awesome because that's the fun part. But anyway, thanks to everybody who subscribed. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the comments and the shares and the likes and all that stuff. You have an awesome day. Go outside and play. Hug somebody you love, but you know, safely. And be safe out there, and I'll see you next time right here on Woodworking with Mr. Kevin. And thanks for watching the Curved Cabinets of Bembo. We'll see you later. Bye.
Subscribe now.
So I've done a few things. Double stick tape, didn't quite hold it. Did you hear that spider? Damn it. Oh my God. I need air. Oh, when you eat 3 eggs and oatmeal for breakfast, it don't smell good. Oh. Okay. Oh my God, it's still around. I'm making myself sick. Okay, hey everybody, so it's crap. It's the bit, it's the screws, they're all just shite. Well, there you go, another Ripper Dipper on the curved cabinets of Bembo.